In 1919, the May 4th movement unveiled a new chapter in China in the struggle against imperialism and feudalism. Between 1919 and 1921, thousands of young Chinese traveled to Europe as members of the work-study movement, in the hope of finding a path to save the future of China.
My hope is that China will no longer be controlled by foreign countries. Our people will no longer be bullied by officials. Everyone can live a good life, and we form a family of mutual help and love. I'm willing to fight for this.
Amongst them were the future leaders of the Communist Party of China. 16-year-old Deng Xiaoping arrived in Marseille in October 1920, as reported by a local French newspaper. That same year, 22-year-old Zhu Enlai boarded a passenger ship in Shanghai. This started an awakening journey in Europe. Despite his late arrival, Zhu Enlai examined the workers' movement in Britain in early 1921. In Paris, Zhu studied French while conducting social research. He also studied various Marxist books, such as the Communist Manifesto, and wrote for the Chinese newspaper Ishibao on the unstoppable trend of revolution. After comparing with other social doctrines, Zhu Enlai made a lifelong commitment to the communist cause and joined the Paris Communist Group in 1921. Meanwhile, Deng Xiaoping went to work in factories after attending middle school in Bayeux in France. He worked at an iron and steel plant and then a rubber factory, where he recognized the deep-rooted problems of the struggling working class. It's also where he met other like-minded young people, perhaps to save China through industrial salvation. For Deng Xiaoping, this became a broken dream. He started to read the progressive magazine New Youth. Each day, his desire to join a revolutionary party was growing. The French town of Montargis was a turning point for Deng Xiaoping. It was the place where he became interested in Marxism. It was also here where the idea of establishing a communist party in China was formally advocated. Meanwhile, Zhu Enlai worked as a journalist, traveling between Paris and Berlin. He witnessed the demonstrations of Chinese students in Lyon and advocated the idea of communism in Germany. In June 1922, like-minded young people were finally united by the European branch of the Chinese Communist Youth Party and had their own magazine, La Jeunesse. 17 Rue Godefroy, Paris, is a place where Zhu Enlai once lived. It's also where he worked with Deng Xiaoping, who joined the magazine later. In 1924, their footpath was diverted. Zhu Enlai went back to China as communist revolutions spread across the country, while Deng Xiaoping carried on the communist cause in France and left for Moscow in 1926. By that time, both had grown from progressive youths into professional revolutionaries. Today, this building in Paris is lucky enough to have a plaque to its famous former resident, Zhu Enlai. While the town of Montargis is proud of its association with Deng Xiaoping, even naming the square outside the railway station after him. A sculpture is also dedicated to the work-study movement. A century on, it's time to retrace their red footsteps, which reveal the journey that shaped the future path of China.